day, true believers, and welcome to a new edition in this ongoing Coronavirus Chronicle series. I am Jason BURGOS for Sherdog.com, and I am joined by a woman who was a part of that first group of fighters on the wrong side of postponement due to this pandemic, losing her planned bout on March 20th at One Championship, Heart of Heroes. She's a two-sport athlete for the promotion. She's a very gracious Kill Her B. Nguyen. Madam B, thank you for the time to talk in this difficult moment in history for all of us around this world.
Wow, what an intro.
You like that? That was good?
Yeah, keep going, keep going. Yeah, I was in Asia, man, the whole time. I was actually there, obviously, the beginning of it also. We were probably the first, we were the first event canceled because of all of this.
Now, you have had just not even this event canceled. You've had a difficult 4 months recently with your career. You know, you had the decision loss to Stamp Fairtex at Masters of Fate in November, but no shame in that. She's a talented fighter. A lot of people think, you know, she could be the future of the division, so that's, you know, a star you're losing to. But since that fight, you had your February fight canceled, you know, because of an injury. Then, like the one I mentioned in Heart of Heroes, you know, this month, was an early victim of the pandemic. Before we even, you know, stepped into this stage of where everybody's in nationwide social distancing, was that time, before we got to now, was that one of the most frustrating periods in your life ever?
Yeah, oh man, there's so many things that this situation has brought to light for us as athletes. I don't know if a lot of people have had time to reflect on. Now more than ever, I know a lot of people are thinking about union and salary and things like that, because unfortunately as athletes, we make money contractually, you know, so just as we're contracted each fight, and if we don't have a fight, we don't make money. So it was rough for me to spend money to be in Thailand. Obviously the injury was really sad. I had to pull out of that, but one's really good to me, so they rebooked me right away. Then that canceled, and then I was in Vietnam. This is after the original event was canceled. So one was still making efforts to have a. So they were the first One is the first promotion to ever have the closed door event, because they did that in the Singapore one. So they wanted to do it again. So most people don't know this, but I was in Vietnam doing some commercial work. I got my bout got rescheduled to Singapore for closed door event April 12th. It was booked. I was flying back to Phuket to prepare for this fight in Singapore. Then I was like high-fiving everybody in the crew, the film crew and everybody. 2 hours later, we got the text that Singapore had closed their borders to all Asian countries and other passports. So then I changed my flight all the way home to America. Like it was so much back and forth, and people were making efforts. One was definitely making efforts to make it up to us and rebook, but it really didn't work out. And now I see Dana trying to scramble and do the same thing, but at this point, I feel like, you know, you're like really pushing something that's just not meant to happen.
And I'm glad you brought up, you know, that for fighters, what they make is it's a tough business to be in for fighting. You know, how big of a financial hit is it for you to lose out on multiple bouts, along with the money you put into a training camp, going overseas to do some training, stuff like that? You know, how big and difficult was that for you? And also, a lot of people don't understand that so many fighters in MMA don't make their money just off of fighting. A lot of fighters have side jobs. A lot of them are coaches or trainers in their gyms they work. Some of them have regular day jobs. You know, I know like Javier works at a Target here in the US and stuff like that. You know, so do you have like that? You mentioned you did commercials like that. Do you have that other revenue source that, you know, the money outside that can kind of subsidize when fights are canceled or your career?
Yeah, but I think that I fortunately do, because, you know, even since my amateur, I've put a lot of effort into my marketing and my branding. So luckily I have a lot of commercial work, but it's not easy for athletes to do. You know, it's really not easy. And without disclosing what I get paid, definitely deep into the five figures, you know, of what I lost and spent like $8,000 on camp in those times. So and then not knowing where the next check is going to come from is tough. And also a lot of commercial work. If you guys don't know, you don't get paid until the contract's done, and all of that is in the air as well. How can we
Mm.
complete a contract if we can't travel? You know, what if the country company's going under? And yeah, you don't get paid sometimes. Yearly deals, you don't get paid till the end of the year.
Wow.
So yeah, all of that put together, like it's really scary. And I really think that if you look at NBA players and NFL players, they have signing bonuses, they have salary, they have all kinds. They have a union. You know, we really need to get it together. I think a lot of things right now we need to consider. Um, without getting too much into politics, I think right now that the system's down, there's a lot of moves being made by the big names, the big boys. So I think that we need to get together and think about the moves that we can be making as fighters, and how we can benefit ourselves to not let this happen again. Because most of us have families. And also, you have to understand, a lot of people don't know, like, oh, the bigger the name, the bigger UFC one championship fighters, they make money, they're fine. The problem is with our sport is the more money you make, the more your camps cost. So
Mm.
we're all in the same boat, We're all hurting right now.
Why do you feel? Because I've talked to fighters, I've talked to managers about this too, and the surprising thing I often get is that they just don't see a union happening, even though there's all this reasoning that it should. In your experience as a fighter, knowing other fighters, different parts of the world, why do you think it is that fighters haven't? There's so many. You would have thought after the Reebok deal with the UFC, that would have been another reason for the unions to gather. But you only see these
Yeah,
small little groups, and they'll bring up the lawsuits, the antitrust, and the UFC's influence shuts that down all the time. Why do you think
yeah.
fighters just can't do it? Is it just it's too fractured of this? I'm a contracted worker, I'm out for myself thing, and there's just not enough solidarity really when it comes down to losing money.
I think everything depends on solidarity. I think that especially when you're already the weaker opponent, you need solidarity. The power is in solidarity. Honestly, I'm not the most educated when it comes to this union, although I really, really want it. I should probably research more. And my good friend Leslie Smith is probably the best
Mm.
resource on this subject. Um, but I don't know. I just think, yeah, we need solidarity for sure. And I say this even though I fight in Asia, and it doesn't affect me as much just because I'm well taken care of in one, and they're just a great company. But I think all fighters need it in general, whether it affects me or not. But yeah, honestly, I'm not educated enough to make that assessment. But for sure, if we all came together and is not scared of losing the position that we have or our seat, then I think that we can make things happen.
Now, I'm glad you brought up one that you're in Vietnam, which I did not know, and also Thailand, which I did know from following your Instagram, seeing the training videos, stuff like that. A lot of people here in the
Yeah.
West or in Europe might think, "Oh man, Asia's bad. Everywhere in Asia is bad," but that's not necessarily the case everywhere. When you were in Thailand, when
No.
you were in Vietnam, what was the common opinions
No.
socially? Were people scared? Was Corona a common topic? Were gyms getting closed, or it really didn't even register because it wasn't that bad there?
You know what? The funny thing is, you have to first, you have the emotional, opinion. Then you have to really research, and then you have to really think of things on a grander scale, like on a big picture. The thing about why, like when I was in Phuket, life was
Hmm.
normal. We knew about coronavirus from the get go. They closed the borders. They did the things necessary. Vietnam, I think, was brilliant. They closed the borders right away to China and Japan and North Korea. They educated the people on the hand washing and everything like that early on, and so life was just normal. I mean, of course, you know about it and you're aware, but there was no panic.
Mm.
Yeah, so like people really ask me a lot of these questions, like, oh my god, was Asia crazy? It really wasn't, because just like any solving problem solving and fighting in anything, you calm the hell down, you figure what it is, you figure what you're gonna do, and then it's fine. you know I'm not saying it's fine right now, but I'm saying like you can control your reactions, and I think that running around in circles with our hands furling up is not going to do anything. You know what I mean? So, and then especially for the mental health of everybody right now, like just calm down, it's all right, get the facts, you'll be fine. And yeah, regardless of what you might think, Asia reacted really well, really quickly. And most of the panic was in China. The rest of the countries, as soon as they heard about it, they prepared. And I think that's what America failed to do, was to prepare early on. They're doing a great job now, ish, but
Yeah.
definitely if we would have prepared early on, it would have been much, much
And I'm
better.
glad you brought that up because I've talked to a contact in one who also based in Vietnam, and he was telling me about they were doing quarantine and stay at home mandates after like a couple hundred cases. Now you have
That's another
yeah.
thing. I came from Asia, and now I'm even afraid to say it because ignorant people would react
Mm,
differently. But I came here from Asia, and most countries in Asia have these wristbands with barcodes on it where you have to check in and take a picture on the app and send it to the app every day. The government knows that you're
yeah.
quarantined for 10 to 14 days because that's when symptoms would show
Wow.
up. And when I came into America, there was no
Nope.
temperature check
Nope.
at customs. They did not even talk about quarantine or even informed us of anything as we were coming in. Luckily for me, my flight was empty, so I was
Mm.
safe. But I also personally put myself into a 14-day quarantine. I just finished it a couple of days ago. But I was completely alone for 14 days to make sure I was okay. But I don't know if people are doing that, because the government is not mandating it. And if you're not gonna put that in place, then close the borders,
And what and what
And
yeah.
go ahead.
And what's frustrating is that I've talked to people in different parts of the country, and they're still kind of doing that thing, at least here. And tell me if it's similar based on what people in Thailand and Vietnam. You have that money before, health thing. Like, oh, I got to get to work. And I get that. I get you got to get to work and stuff
Yeah,
like that. But if
yeah,
everyone is sick or ends up dying
yeah,
in a large sums,
yeah,
what's the economy going to be then?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
what have you? One, are you almost like maybe I should have stayed there? And two, was it similar
yeah.
over there, or people were like, look, we got to handle this right away. Stop this.
Honestly, it was closer to the problem then,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the way it's handled that
Yeah.
matters to me. And so, and look how it's affected here. But honestly, I'm not so tough on people right now. I have a lot of compassion for people, the citizens. Like even the ones, like I try to educate them like, hey, you really need to practice social
Mm-hmm.
distancing and you need to do this, do that. But I'm not so tough on my peers as much as everybody else, just pointing the finger at everybody else and panicking. Because I think not the blame, but the responsibility lied on our government and our health system, or government to prepare the health system. What was all the taxpayers' money's for is to prepare us for things like this. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, nobody could really. Um, Actually, people did predict
Yeah.
this, but anywho, my expectations lie on the government and not the people. I do think some people are idiots like the spring breakers,
Yes.
but I think other people are just trying to deal with it the best they can, and I'm not just gonna like scream and yell at everybody for not doing the perfect thing.
Well, I'll scream and yell for you. Just get it together, people. Stop the nonsense. Seriously, listen to the government now. But
Yeah,
speaking of government, what's going
yeah,
on near you? What's the latest where you live? Of course, it's a few places are like here in New York how bad it is. But I know
uh-huh,
there's a few thousand cases there. There's some deaths and stuff like that. Are
yeah.
you is it full statewide stay at home laws and mandates there? Is it a little looser? Mississippi's kind of loose and not doing it everywhere. Some states are stricter than other. What's your situation where you are?
No, we definitely are as strict as we can without enforcing the too much law into it. What I mean is, there's no tanks everywhere, and people aren't. The police aren't pulling everybody over, but for sure to stay at home, they closed all the businesses except for grocery stores and hospitals and things like that. But yeah, everybody's pretty much staying at home. I've only seen people at parks, and people are staying away from each other, so it's been good in Houston, Texas. Yeah, it's been
I've
good.
asked other fighters this, and it's interesting how the answer has changed during this series of interviews as more information comes about the virus and stuff like that. We have gone from thinking, oh, it's just going to affect the older people, pre existing people, to now that's really not the case. Younger people getting it,
Yeah,
babies, children are dying from it. It's
yeah,
legit.
yeah.
Has it made you even feel uneasy? Because I'm sure there's some point you're thinking, I'm going to get back into action. There's events coming up for one very soon. I got to stay sharp, got to stay shape. Even have you even felt an unease and maybe just doing a one-on-one training with a coach or whatever? Because it's much more serious than it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's definitely safest to not do it. The good thing is I've seen a lot of like tutorials, and I've done some myself of how to train
Mm.
yourself. I'm lucky to, so I sponsor and take care. Well, I sponsor a young fighter of mine. He's 21 years old and he lives with me, so I have somebody to
Mm.
train with, and
Yeah.
that's good. Um, but I think it's best to just stay away. But if you know what is cool is if you can rent gear, you can always sanitize it, like a bag or something and put it in your house. You can do that. Lucky for me, one of my coaches is out of town and he is going to lend me a key to his gym, but just for me.
Okay.
So that I lucked out on that one. But yeah, you know what's cool though? If you know me, if you follow me, I'm a drilling machine. Like I love drilling, and people, I go to gyms and I try to tell young fighters to drill, and they never want to do it because it's boring, because it's not
Yeah.
sparring. So right now I'm like, you guys really need the
Hmm.
drill. This is a good time for me to like make sure everybody is drilling. Drilling is really, really good for you, and I hope people will take advantage of this time to
And
do
you
it.
mentioned mental health earlier, and that's a key aspect for a lot of people in the country right now, a lot of people in the world right now. I've noticed the plethora of posts on Instagram, you've for you keep yourself busy and stuff like that, but also you making an awareness of the difficulty of it.
Yeah.
What have you been up to in this time of intense social distancing? What have you done to keep your mental health as strong as it can be?
Jason, I'm always gonna keep it real because I don't think enough people do it. Shit's been rough. I've had stages like when I was first coming home. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna work out every day, and I'm gonna finish my book. I'm gonna like do all the projects that I said I
Mm-hmm.
was gonna do, and I never had time doing. And then I got here and I got like almost
Yeah.
depressed for like not like sad depressed, but just like, damn, I don't want to do
Yes, I
anything
felt
for
that.
like 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
days. Yeah, and then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get. I've been up and down really. Um, and right now I'm feeling great and motivated, and I've been shadowboxing and drilling. But to be honest, it's not everybody. I love that everybody's motivating people, and that's great. Always stay positive, but just know that on social media everybody's struggling just like you. So if you're feeling like, damn, I can't, how is everybody like just motivated like
Yeah.
this, and I'm not, like, am I a bum? You're not, because I'm a high level fighter and I'm struggling too. So you're just gonna go you're just gonna go on your ups and
Yeah.
downs, and just make sure that you're kind to yourself. I think that's one of the mental practices that people don't do often, especially in the sport, is self compassion. Like, it's okay, like chill the hell out. It's fine. Like, you don't have to go balls to the wall all the time. You don't have to like, go kicking trees outside or anything. Like, it's okay.
Have you have there been when you're not feeling like just bleh, like a lot of us are feeling at this time? Are there things you've been able to catch up on? Are there movies, the TV shows, activities, hobbies that maybe you didn't get to for so long? Because I mean, you were constantly kind of in a camp for the last 4 months. You were in a fight, the two canceled fights that came close. Have you been able
Yeah.
to do some things that you haven't been that have really been worthwhile or enjoyable?
Yeah, not to be a cliche, but I've people have always asked me to do a YouTube channel, and I'm like, oh, there's so many technique people out there doing it. Like, it's, you guys are fine without me
Mm.
doing it, and I'm just training all the time. So I'm like, oh, not thinking about it. But now that I sit down and have time to break down everything that I've learned, because I've traveled so many gyms and trained so many styles, and I'm small, particularly I fight well for a very small person. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, and I'm gonna share what I've learned, which I probably would have never stopped to do before, to be honest.
One championship plans to have events in April 25th, and then three in May. Is there? Have you talked to them about it, or is there at least a hope that you can maybe get up on one of those upcoming cards? To make up for those lost bookings.
I'm actually making the big decision to move to Asia for
Mm.
most of next
Wow.
year, but not until it's safe. Not until it's safe to get out there. So for me right now, it's probably not feasible. They always try their best to get me on the cards, the upcoming cards, but I don't want to push something, like I said, that isn't meant to
Mm.
be. So if I get out there soon, then yes, if I'm based out of Asia, that would make sense. But they have plenty of fighters in Singapore. They have plenty of fighters around there, so I'm sure they can make it happen. And Chatri has like access to so many studios that I'm sure that he'll make it happen. But as for me, it's probably not feasible if I'm in America.
So would
But
would you say then? I mean, because the guesses and the estimations of how long it may really take to kind of get on the other side of this thing, maybe June and stuff like that, maybe going toward the summer, would you think then, it might take that long because you want to move first, get yourself settled there, so we may not
Yeah.
see Killer Bee back in the cage maybe to the summertime?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking late May. If there's an opportunity, late May would be good for me. So I think that'll be a good time. But everything's everything's in the air right now. Like the Thailand where I train, they have a ban for international traveling until April 20th. So, but it can extend. You never know. So I'm just trying not to stress out too much about it and be okay with whatever
If
happens.
you can get on a May card, maybe early June card, there's a good chance it could be an empty arena card. Did you get to see either one's empty arena, UFC empty arena, Cage Warriors empty arena, any of those events, and kind of maybe start visualizing that possibility? Oddly enough, I talked to Edward Folingyang and I also talked to Cal Eleanor from Bellator. Both of them were kind of okay with that idea of empty arena, just feeling there might be less pressure without a crowd around. What are your thoughts on having to compete empty arena?
No, it's freaking hell out. I love I'm gonna do it for sure, but I'd probably be weirded out because I love the crowd. I love the pressure. I love the roaring. And if you ever watch my fights, I get crazier as the rounds go because I'm feeling the energy and all that. I'm always that fighter, that person. So I'm like freaking out. But I'm kind of like interested to seeing how I can perform. It's gonna be weird, man. I've always thought like the Ryzen shows when I watch it, the Japanese crowd, I'm like,
how do they do it?
Why is it so silent? Yeah, I'm like, what is happening? So I think if that were to happen, I'm just gonna like train my corners to like do the Thailand cheering thing where they scream or, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I want to. That's something I would love to experience. But for sure, you might want to tune in. I might choke. Or I might kill my opponent, or I might choke. I don't know. We'll see.
Now, last question. I've asked a few people this. It's tough times. It's depressing times. But let's be a little silly. Let's be a little selfish for once. It's a team effort to get through this coronavirus. There's a lot of things getting postponed. A lot of things get suspended here in the U.S. MLB, NBA, NHL all suspended. Movies are getting pushed back. All these people that want to see Fast and Furious or Black Widow, they're gonna have to wait. A lot of things getting pushed back. Is there something? And don't give me MMA, because everybody's giving me MMA. I get MMA suspended. All of you guys miss it. I get that. I appreciate that. I miss MMA too. But something aside from MMA, what are you going? Damn it, coronavirus! I was hoping to see this, and you fucked it all up, and I'm gonna have to wait this year. What is it for you?
The thing about me is I don't really watch TV, so that's tough. So it wouldn't be something on TV. Damn, I just want like. I was in camp for 4 months straight, and I just want to go and have a freaking drink. Like I just want to. I miss humans. I never thought I'd say that because I don't really. I usually just say I prefer without humans, but yeah, I just want to go have a drink, Jason. Honestly, just like a cup of whiskey and to chat shit with people somewhere. That's what I miss. But as far as watching TV, I wouldn't even know. Oh, is Mulan out? I wanted to see that.
I don't know, and it makes me wonder if that's been postponed. I think it's close. It's got to be postponed. I don't know. And if it is, let's say it is postponed. Is that the one? Is that the one you're like, damn it, coronavirus?
Yeah, Mulan would be it. Mulan would be it for sure. Yeah, it's Mulan for me.
Is there also, bringing up interpersonal, seeing people, are there people that you're kind of missing, relatives, friends that you can't see because of the social distancing thing, or maybe elderly family you can't visit because you worry it's putting them in danger even if you feel you're completely healthy? Are there some of the things you're going through too that's difficult, that you just can't see people and it's because of safety?
Yeah, kids, nieces and nephews, my friends' kids. I'm really close to I'm like forever on TV. It's like ongoing joke because I'm like the aunt that travels and is always single and brings gifts. But the kids, I miss the kids. I don't really miss my mom because me and my mom just FaceTime. That's always been our relationship. So there's not really any. I miss the kids, man. I just don't want to be around a lot of kids right now, but I really miss children.
Yeah.